Good morning. I said I want to pick it up where we left off with that last scripture, Romans 12:1. So let's just dive right into the word this morning. I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. In the Amplified Classic it says, I appeal to you therefore, brethren, and beg of you, in view of all the mercies of God, to make a decisive dedication of your bodies, presenting all your members and faculties as a living sacrifice, holy, devoted and consecrated, and well-pleasing to God, which is your reasonable, rational, and intelligent service and spiritual worship. Now I want to back up just a little bit. Reasonable service, rational and intelligent. But when we think about being rational. We think about, well, now this is, in our end of ourselves we go, well, that's not a rational decision. Example I gave, I don't know who listened to the sermon I posted at the time of this video, and it was just last Sunday, but by the time I post this one, I'd say a couple months ago, I said, is there room in the inn? And I talked about when I was going to go home one time from work. It was late, 11 o'clock at night. And I thought just of myself, I'm going to go home the back way. But it was the fall. It didn't want no deer running out in front of me coming out of a cornfield, which is not unheard of the particular time of year. I've had them go out across in front of me several times just right after I left the school. So I thought, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go home. I'm going to go home the main route. And instead of hitting the deer, I hit a big old desk or something that somebody had fell off of somebody's truck right in the middle of the U.S. route I was going down. Totaled the front end of my car. When I say, what is your reasonable service? One is listening to God. You're intelligent, rational. You know, we can't get our own rationality into it because it didn't seem rational to go the back way. So we can't let our own rationality get in the way. But we got to use discernment and be rational in knowing what the Word says. Because sometimes things don't seem rational to us. But I know the Scripture says, what is your reasonable service? But I'm looking at what the Amplified says in rational. Sometimes what we think is rational isn't. Same thing with what we think is intelligent isn't in the natural. But if we just stick with the original King James for a second and look at reasonable service, what's reasonable? Present your body as a living sacrifice? Okay. What's reasonable? Don't forsake the assembling together. What does that mean? Well, the church the Lord has me in has a Sunday night and a Wednesday. But I can't go Wednesday nights. I work second shift. Okay. But if you're off on a Wednesday, should you go? Well, they're not used to me showing up, so if I don't go, it won't be no big deal. They're not used to seeing me. But you're off on Wednesday. So is that then your reasonable service not to forsake the assembling together? I would say yes. So, where it says, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling before the Lord, know what the Word says. What's reasonable service? What is when you let go rational, intelligent? Well, that's rational. I should go to church when the doors are open because I'm off today, even though I'm not normally am. So I get to surprise everybody. Just some random thoughts there. And just as I closed up the last lesson, I was thinking about the exact same thing. But what really caught my eye was when I read an Amplified Classic. It says, after reasonable service, it said spiritual worship. Matthew 16:24 says, then said Jesus unto his disciples, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. Luke 9:23 says, and he said unto them all, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. Notice how Luke said take up his cross daily. Okay, now let's look at that again, going back to the Amplified Classic. Let's look at Luke 9:23. And he said to all, if any person will come after me, let him deny himself, disown himself, forget, lose sight of himself and his own interests, refuse and give up himself. Totally disown yourself. Okay, and take up his cross daily and follow me. Cleave steadfastly to me, conform wholly to my example, in living and in need, and be in dying also. When we present our bodies in this fashion, it is spiritual worship. Let's back up to this Amplified Classic. This may take a little bit, because I feel the Lord prompted me in a direction I had not planned on, because it wasn't part of the lesson, it wasn't anything. His Lord has prompted me to point this out. Where it says, in the Amplified Classic, it says, conform wholly to my example in living, and if need be, in dying also. And when I read that, you gotta remember when I said I'm recording this. It was a few months ago. Well, just a few months ago, I'm in the end of September. So when I broadcast this, that's why I say, look, just a few months ago, they had the assassination of Charlie Kirk. When we present our bodies in this fashion, it is a spiritual worship. And Amplified said, if need be, dying also. And it took me aback when it happened. And I was thinking, is this something do I want to die? I'm always saying, Lord, I'm ready to make heaven my home, but do I want to be shot? Do I want to die? Death, where is your sting? And I've heard of a lot of people, and I've read books, when people say they went to heaven, and the Lord brought them back, or sent them back, and they said, I don't remember dying. One guy was playing tennis with his wife. He said, when he came back, he's laying in the hospital, he said, I remember being on the tennis court, then I remember being in heaven. And you hear all kinds of scientific stuff about, well, Charlie felt this when he got shot, and he felt that when he got shot. If the Lord was to brought him back, based on what I've read from other people who's experienced this, Charlie would have probably said, I remember answering somebody's question or asking somebody a question, and the next thing I know I was in heaven. That was his reasonable service for his calling, for his situation. It was his spiritual worship. Charlie, just like the rest of us, this Charlie included, what we read in Luke 9:23, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily. Charlie took up his cross daily. Are we taking up our cross daily? Are we presenting our bodies in this fashion as spiritual worship? All right, I feel that's what the Lord had wanted me to interject into this. See, this is a living sacrifice. If we let the body decide what we do, the body will choose the quick gratification. This can manifest in various ways, such as adrenaline rushes, food cravings, sexual desires, or the idea of keeping it real and just saying the first thing that shoots across our mind. Let me remind that our enemy is a flesh devil, and he wars against us in the mind. We need to constantly pick up our cross daily. This is our spiritual. This is spiritual worship. When we deny ourselves and we pick up our cross daily, we cannot let our bodies and our minds decide what we do and where we go. Now, I am going to say this. Not contrary to what I just said. We said we can't let our minds and our bodies decide what we do. We can't let our minds and our bodies carry us away that's going to take us away from the Lord. There ain't nothing wrong with enjoying a nice summer day out on the beach, going on vacation. It's a cold winter day and you enjoy a hot bath or a hot shower. Don't take what I said to an extreme and say, well, I shouldn't enjoy anything. No, I want to dispel that right now. There's nothing wrong with enjoying a hot shower, a good meal, a sunny day on the beach, a nice afternoon under the tree reading a book, or just sitting in a chair under the shade tree with your dogs running around. Enjoy life. That's not what I'm talking about when I say deny self. But deny those things that the body will run away with you and let you get you taking those quick gratifications. There's nothing wrong with a ride on a roller coaster and getting that adrenaline and enjoying it. But you can't get addicted to the adrenaline rush. There's nothing wrong with a good, to me, I absolutely love a good cheesecake. But I'm not going to go down and eat 3 of them at one setting and make it dinner. The idea of keeping it real. Well, that's a worldly thing right there in of itself. I'm going to keep it real. I'm going to say what I think. Maybe you should examine what you think first and find out if you should be even saying it. There are extremes. But there's nothing wrong with enjoying life. You want to keep your peace? shut your mouth long enough to let your brain engage and not say what shoots across your mind, and then you lose your peace and you get angry and everything else. Was it worth it? Would it be worth it? No. Because our enemy, as I just said a little bit ago, is a flesh devil, and he wars against us in the mind. And as you spend time with God through feeding on His Word and in prayer and act on the Word daily, your spirit will be strengthened and developed, making your spirit stronger than your flesh. I'm going to read that again. Yes, I got time. As you spend time with God through feeding on His Word and in prayer and act on the Word daily, your spirit will be strengthened and developed, making your spirit stronger than your flesh. When we act in that Word, it isn't just the written Word, it's the personal Word that He gives us. There is a general will. God has a general will for all of us. That's what we read in the Bible. Love thy neighbor as yourself. Do good unto others. The Ten Commandments. Those are His general will for us. But for each one of us, in the direction He would have our lives go and the things He would have us do in the kingdom, those are personal wills He has for us. And as we walk that out, we pay attention to what the will of God is for our lives, generally and personally, we're going to live a victorious life. But don't limit God. He may show you something that needs eliminated from your life through others. So I'm going to pick it up right there with that comment. We're going to back up just a little bit in that last paragraph I did next week. But until then, remember, take up your cross daily.